I just like fighting. I like violence. I like the thrill of it. I want to stay real and true to my people. I don't care who you put in front of me. I am beating that man.
Darren Till, no joke.
You have to win, you have to stay unbeaten, you have to be the best.
He's dangerous, he's young.
Oh, Darren Till!
He's undefeated.
What is the bridge? Darren Till shocks the world! Darren Till gets the opportunity, takes it with both hands.
Darren, really exciting time in your career. UFC Liverpool has been announced May 27th. I know you're super excited about it. Did you ever imagine that this dream would come true?
Yeah.
You did?
When I was 17 and I was training at Team Carbon, and I seen like 7 UFC fighters from Liverpool, Scousers. They were the top guys and I was just a little kid, and none of them had ever been the Echo, so that they'd never brought the UFC to Liverpool or anything. And so, you know, 7 years down the line, I'm 25, and if I would have said that when I was 17 to anyone, they might have laughed, they might have whatever, but in my head I knew one day I'd be doing something big in the city, and this is it, do you know what I mean? So I'm 25 now and I feel like no matter what happens in my life, I've done something that I can be really, really, really proud of, and I can be talked about for years to come in history.
Well, not only are you something special yourself, but you're going to have the Liverpool fans behind you when it comes to fighting in Liverpool. What's the reaction been like on Twitter? I've seen your phone must be blowing up since the announcement.
It just gives shivers. Just, you know, I've said it a few times now. I can't really tell you a word that justifies how I feel. I can't say. You know, I could say I'm happy, and I am really happy, but you know, just to be a kid in the streets, and then me when I was a kid playing footy, looking up at someone like Steven Gerrard, and then he's putting on his Instagram good luck. It doesn't really translate for me. I don't believe it's all happening. Maybe one day when I sit back and it's all over and done with, and the next generation are coming through, the young people, you know, I'll go, I was one of them people. Yeah. For now, I just want to enjoy it all. I want to enjoy everything. I don't want to take anything for granted. I don't want to take a guy in the street asking for a photo with me. I don't want to be eating a meal with my girlfriend and never say, oh, I'm eating a meal, can you just get it later? Yeah, okay, I'll miss my food and let it go cold to take that photo. And, you know, it will be constant, it'll go on for years, but I just believe that you have to have such a mentality for that type of stuff as well, that you've got to do it all the time. You know, from a kid, I was boxing in the gyms and training in Muay Thai and fighting, and then when I discovered MMA, I was like, I will get to that UFC and I'll be a champion. And this was when I was 16, 17, I was just like, I know I can do that. And I didn't shout about it to a lot of people, but the people I did talk to were sort of like, he seems like he's really... Every time I speak to people, they don't ever like, you know, they're never like shunning me off or anything. They're like, he seems to know what he wants from life, and I have always known what I've wanted to do. So, you know, since then, you know, I had a few bumpy roads, and I went off to Brazil. And
so what happened that made you go to Brazil? There was that incident?
Yeah, there was an incident in a club. You know, I was always training hard in the gym, but I didn't have as much focus. Like, my focus was on other things as well. And I was in a club, and, you know, a fight broke out, and I was in the mix of it, and someone stabbed me, you know, in the back twice. Someone stabbed me in my lungs twice, and it was like, you know, a millimetre away from an artery. And the UFC doctor actually was, he was at the hospital in Liverpool at the time, and, you know, he come into me when I woke up, and I was like, listen, you nearly died, you know, and I stayed in the hospital for like 2 weeks, and just recovering time alone, just to think, wow, that could have been it. Like, I sort of accepted it outside the club as well. I've never said this, but I was outside the club, and I sort of, like, someone's got the fingers stuck in my wound, and I'm sort of thinking, this is it, I might die here. So, you know, them type of moments, you sort of sit back and think, that was a close call, Till, do you know what I mean? And then you speak to people like who I look up to, like a god, like me coach, and he says, listen, you either want to be a world champion or you want to be a waster in life. And there's plenty of them about, but there's not many champions. And he gave me the advice to go to Brazil and focus. And it wasn't like, you know, I don't want to disrespect anyone, like other fighters, they'll go off and do 6-week camp and they'll leave the family and they'll cry and, you know, moan about it. I went off there for 4 years and I was alone. There was days I never had money. There was days that I felt alone. There was days I couldn't speak to people because I couldn't speak the language, and I just thought, you know what, just get through this, Darren, because it'll all pay off. and now I sit in front of you and it's all paid off.
Yeah.
No matter what happens after the 27th of May, everything that's happened before that has paid off of what I've done.
And you very quickly, you learnt the language. You speak fluent Portuguese, understand, or what do you call it? Scousu.
Well, I don't call it anything.
Someone called it
People call it Scousagese or the Scousilian or whatever, and it's funny. It is funny because people say that because it is like a Scouse twang in it. But yeah, I'm fluent in Portuguese.
Well, all credit to you. And you had your daughter.
Yeah, I've got
her
her.
as well.
She's Brazilian, and she's obviously English because of me, but she lives there. She doesn't speak English. She's Brazilian, and
Does she know what Daddy does?
Yeah, of course, yeah. I've got videos. She jumps up and down every fight, you know. I think she gets scared now because she's getting older. She's 4. She's just turned 4 last week, so I think she knows now what it means and what it is. So, you know, I was there just a few weeks ago, and I was trying to teach her some stuff and that, and she knows, but she's not with her dad every day as well, so she's just got to support her dad through the telly and through maybe a FaceTime, which is it's hard for me, but I don't sit here and cry, you know. Things have got to be done in this life. It's not all about her, and it's not about anyone else. It's about what I set out to do, and not my daughter or anyone is going to stand between her, and it might sound selfish, but you have to be selfish.
Are you still living at your uncle's place?
Not anymore,
Okay.
no. He kicked me out. He never.
Do you mean back about a year, just over a year from Brazil?
Well, yeah, I got back from Brazil, and I've never really had like a home since I left my mum's when I was 15. So I've been like from place to place. I lived in the gym, and my uncle's always been really good to me. And I was just fighting in the UFC last year and living in his, and now with my girlfriend, I said to her, my uncle's lived very far away from the gym, and the travel was just, it was just adding extra minutes onto my day, and I wanted to live close to the gym, you know, to have that environment. So, you know, now I've moved into just a nice little apartment by the gym with my girlfriend, and I'm just gonna, you know, be back and forth at the gym as much as possible, and recovery and all that stuff that goes with it.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the blue corner, Darren Till!
Just before you fought Cowboy Cerrone, and obviously then the world woke up to who you are, at the face-off, at the weigh-ins, I think that's when you said you saw that fear in his eyes. You already knew at that point that he knew that you'd beat him. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What is it you saw?
A lot of people say that. It's just, I think in the interviews before Cowboy had ever met me, he was just going along as if I was just this other kid that he was going to beat, and I'm, you know, I am a young man. I'm only 25, but when you're in my presence with regards to fighting, anything else, you know, I'm a guy who doesn't really know a lot about life, but when it comes to fighting, when you're in my presence, you know that I'm like the real deal. I'm not there to be pushed over hard. I couldn't care who you are, and he felt that before we even went away, and he was lurking round, and he could feel my energy. Fighters have got a type of energy we give off, and he could feel it, and as soon as he stepped in that cage against me, I didn't see that he just didn't want it like I wanted it. He was doubting himself, and it should have been the other way around. A guy like Cowboy, the most fights in the UFC, black belt, tapped everyone, the most fight of the nights, you know, millions. It should have been the other way around, but it wasn't, because I don't care who Cowboy is or who the champion is or who anyone is in fighting. I care about myself and what I'm going to do to the person standing across from me.
We are all set for a maximum 5 5-minute rounds in the welterweight division.
This is good work so far from Darren Till. He's got such a good understanding of range. Look at that, left hand sneaks through. But you've just got to look at the composure in the way he fights and the swagger. You know, hands down, chins up, confident in his stance, and it's Cowboy that looks to be trying to figure this prospect out in front of him.
I was in there and I could just see he was jittery. He just didn't know what I was thinking or what was coming. It wasn't anything to do with like my strikes. It was just power. I was just overpowering them.
Oh, look at that! Beautiful work. Cowboy again, taking one of those left hands on the chin.
There's a massive elbow there from Till.
As soon as he turned his back from me, I just had to keep, you know, punching, and I just knew that the ref was going to step in.
Oh my God, let's take a look! What a stoppage!
Darren Till shocks the world!
Darren Till gets the opportunity and takes it with both hands. Beautiful finish there.
That was the moment that every person that said I was just some little young boy who was going to get beat by this veteran, they woke up, and they woke up too late.
By TKO victory and still unbeaten, the pride of Liverpool, England, Darren Till!
Conor McGregor got a belt at 2 weight classes, you want to get 3. How far in the future is that? Is it like get the belt and move on, or?
Not really, no. It's like a lot of people could, you know, I'm going to drop a lot of hate on why I say that, because let's say 7 years ago, if I would have said to people, I'll be fighting at the Echo, people would go, this guy's delusional. So right now, the things I'm saying, this is just a young boy's dream. You know, I want to be considered the greatest fighter. And to do that, I feel like I have to surpass everyone in the past. So right now, for me, the guy who did do a lot was Conor. He got 2 belts. So, you know, in a few years, if I could get that welterweight belt and beat all the top guys, and if I have to move up and fight all them monsters at middleweight and beat them, and then light heavyweight, which is ridiculous. I know it's ridiculous to anyone, but they're just dreams, and anyone who hates on my dreams is disrespecting me. And I you know, you can say what you want, but just don't disrespect me. That's my little dream. Everyone's got a little dream. Every UFC fighter out there's got a dream, and they can all sit there and say what they want, but just don't disrespect my young man's dream. I won't accept it in any way, shape or form. I don't care who you are. Don't disrespect me like that.
What makes a world championship fighter in your eyes? I mean, you've obviously got the martial arts. You have to have those martial arts skills, but do you think you need that little bit of crazy street fight? I don't know what you'd call it, but a little bit of something else that makes you better than the rest. That single-minded focus.
Yeah, I do think a lot. This is the thing I've seen with fighters as well. Even fighters themselves, they do not put fighting first. Though they could be a single person and then get a girlfriend and have kids and say, oh, my kids are first now. See, I've never done that. I've got a daughter, but fighting still comes before her. That's how selfish I am, and that is all for her in a sense. So it doesn't matter. I'm away from her now. Fighting's first. So that's my selfish mindset. And if I could give any advice on how to be like maybe a world-class athlete, I don't know if I am myself, but a little bit of advice, if you've just got to be so passionate and so obsessed and it's got to traumatise you going to training. You can't go to training wanting to enjoy it. It's got to traumatise you mentally and make you stronger. It's all about the mind for me. You've got to have that strong mentality. Whatever you say, you've got to believe it. You can't doubt yourself. I can't say something to you and then doubt it in my mind. I have to say it and really truly believe it, where there's nothing in my mind that goes, hang on Till, that could be wrong. And that never happens with me. Anything I say, I believe it fully. Do
you think there's some fighters that don't? Do you think there's things that come out their mouth that they don't necessarily... Can you tell? If you're say it's your opponent, can you tell?
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's certain opponents I've faced and they believe they're going to beat me. There is. But you can see, you can decipher who's telling the truth and who's not. You can see fighters and they get on the mic or they say they're the greatest, and you can see that they doubt themselves as well. They're saying it to try and convince themselves. They're not convincing anyone else. They want to convince themselves. When I say I'm the best fighter in the world, I truly believe it. Like, I don't care who you put in front of me. It could be Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, whatever. I am beating that man. There's no one going to beat me on this earth, and that's what I believe. And when I say it, I believe it. No, I don't get a thing in me that says, Till, come on, come to reality. And it's not me living in this delusional world. I just believe it fully. But I don't sit here and say it and then, you know, go off gallivanting. I get in the gym and I try to really, really push myself and traumatise myself.
Yeah, you've said before that money's not an important motivator for you, but the money will come, you know, with the fights and so forth. I mean, a lot of fighters nowadays, Conor McGregor talks about fighting for the money, Michael Bisping as well, you know. Is that not a goal or something that you think about, the lifestyle you might want to go around fighting? No,
I've got a Rolex on my arm right now. I love money. I buy a pair of trainers every week, regardless. You know, I love it. I love fancy stuff. I love nice cars. But at the end of the day, you know, I spend it as much as I make it, because I'm not like this guy that's going to hold on to anything, you know. I don't know, I've just got that different... Money just isn't... It's good, it is really good to an extent, but I don't really think about it that much.
It's not the ultimate goal.
If I could put it into the best way for anyone, in my opinion, Robert De Niro is the greatest actor that's ever lived. Now, when he was trying to be the greatest actor, I don't think he worried about money, but nowadays he's a millionaire. So if we see it in that point, let's say 5 years down the line, if I don't think about money, money will come.
You're obviously fighting in Liverpool next, but you've said you have desires to fight in the US. You've never fought there before, one of the big Vegas cards. I mean, are you allowing yourself to think ahead to these things yet? You know, belts, how far away are you from a title shot? Have you got things in mind for that? Yeah,
obviously, I know full well I'm going to be the champion. There's nothing else in my mind. But coming to fight, I don't really talk about it a lot, but I don't think about anything else. I don't think about what's going to happen in the future. I really couldn't care if the day after I was about to die, or someone said, you're going to die the day after your fight. I don't care how much they're offering me in a contract, money-wise. I don't care that I don't care what happens. I want to fight in that cage, and then everything after, and then I'll come back to it and think, right, do you know what I mean? But right now, my life revolves around stepping in the cage, the 27th of May, 11 o'clock at night. That's what I don't really care about anyone else at the moment. I've got no love for anyone. I've got no desire to be around anyone. I just want to be in the gym, do my obligations, and make sure that night will never be forgotten.
Yeah. Who was your idol, whether it be in fighting or elsewhere, that really was, whether it was, like I say, the fighting or just something about them that inspired you to be somebody?
I never really had like an idol or an inspiration. Like I always just thought in my own head what I was going to do, and I looked at certain people doing certain things and I'm like, oh, you know, great guys. But I know I have got two people, and one's a fictional character and the other is a realistic person. And you know, the first one was when I bought the Rocky box set, and a lot of people have found inspiration from stuff like that, and I'll never get the images out of my head of like shadow boxing to Rocky films and when the music came on, and then the next guy, I can never not mention him because he's the reason why I've got my walkout music, is Terry Etamy. He was in the UFC. I know that he was like one of Dana White's favourite fighters. He was the same as Bisping. He didn't get as far as Bisping, he should have. But he trained with me. He's like one of my best mates nowadays, and he was just. I've never seen a fighter like him. So good and so strong and powerful, and I tried to base myself around him a bit. So you know, it's really close to home. It's not like a guy who's out of reach. It's not like I'm sitting here and going Mike Tyson or something. He's one of my best mates, and he's the guy
closer to home.
Yeah, and he's the guy who inspired me.
Talking of Bisping, obviously seeing him become the first Englishman to win a world title in the UFC, did that give you inspiration at the time as well? That, you know, can I be the next one? Yeah,
well, I remember in 2015 I actually said I would be the first British champion, and he's took me thunder, but it's not, he hasn't took anything. He deserved it. He's got the most fights in the UFC. He's made a lot of money. He's fought everyone. And the biggest thing I respect about Bisping is he's done it all clean. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in fighting where fighters try to, and I just call them cheaters. They're just out and out cheaters. They try to cheat the way to the title or cheat the way to a victory, and it's totally wrong, and I don't like it. They should be banned for life if they do it. Bisping done it all clean. So when it was all, you know, steroids, this, that, what, the other, Bisping had a few losses, and then as soon as it all got stopped, Bisping beat everyone. So that speaks volumes for me, and Bisping, you know, he done it all clean and won the belt. So whatever he does in life now, he can just sit back and be happy.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise, Darren Till! So that's the official announcement. UFC Liverpool is happening. As you can imagine, this guy is going to be main event, the star attraction. You're pretty excited. You've been holding this in for about a day now, and I can see it bouncing out of you. Come on, talk to me about it.
My heart's pumping, mate. I don't know what to say. Words can't describe it. It doesn't do it justice, words. So it's coming, and I'm going to be the first Scouser to ever have done it. In 200 years, they're going to remember my name in combat sports in Liverpool. So I'm going to take someone's chin off in Liverpool. That's what's happening.
Well, Darren, obviously we're just finding out that you're going to be on this card, and just it's going to be in Liverpool. The obvious question is, who's going to be on the other side of the cage?
Wonderboy. It's not about anything. I want to fight everyone in the division to prove I'm the best, but, you know, I consider Wonderboy one of the best strikers in the UFC, and I want to see if my striking can outstrike his striking. You know, he comes from karate, I come from Muay Thai. And I know I can outsmart him. I know I can knock him out. I know that.
You know what it's like to headline in your home city. I think you did so first time UFC 70.
Correct.
Correct. And can you describe that extra pressure or feeling of knowing that these people are all here for me?
It's insane, but back then, obviously that was, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Obviously I'd just been on the Ultimate Fighter 3. I won that. But I didn't even know if people had been watching in England. I had no idea, and I fought at the MEN, as it was called back then. And it's whatever, I walked out. I think it was a normal fight, and I walked out, and the place just exploded. It was insane. For anyone who saw that fight, the adrenaline, I just had this intense spike of adrenaline, and I sprinted to the Octagon full speed. And I tried to run in the Octagon. They stopped me, you know, because they're going to put Vaseline and things on. And I'm trying to run in. I'm like, whoa, whoa. And my coach's like, calm down. What are you doing? And now, of course, MMA is way bigger. There's a great MMA scene in Liverpool. You know, there's lots of events up there. And of course, being, you know, the Scousers are very, very passionate about their own, and rightly so. So Darren is, they're going to blow the roof off that place for him. He's got a bright future. Incredible performance against Donald Cerrone. Excellent stand-up, great ground game. So no, the future's very bright, and he's going to enjoy that one for sure.
I'm actually very excited to fight in Liverpool. It's going to be amazing. The guy's a great stand-up fighter. What better chance to, you know, go to Liverpool and fight for the fans over there against a strong welterweight Darren Till. I'm excited, man. Let's go.
Since the fight was announced, it's 10 weeks. How long did you know about the fact it was going to be in Liverpool before we all heard the official announcement?
Just a few days before.
Oh, literally just a few days before?
No one wanted to tell me because I've got a big mouth. I would have told you straight away, but I just had to keep it quiet. I had to contain my excitement. The thing
couldn't tell girlfriend, family?
I told her, tell her everything. She was waiting at the phone, like, what did they say? So, like, I don't like to get my hopes up too much in this, literally, she was saying, this life in this world, because a lot of people make promises and whatever, and even the UFC could say they're going to do it, but they could change their mind. So when I got told, I just went, oh, sound. And then when they said, it's happening, we've done a promo, and you're going to walk out and announce, I just went, whoa, like it is happening, and it's been in the making. So into training camp now, what's that going to involve for you? Anything different? Are you just going about doing what you normally do? Yeah, I don't know how I can express it. You know, how other fighters could talk about their camp, but for me it's trauma. Like, I've got a coach who's a very nasty man. You know, I respect him so much, but he likes to put me through a lot of pain, and he likes to see how far he can push me and break me, and it pays off. I'm sitting here in front of you, and I'm 16-0 in MMA, and I'm about to do the biggest thing in Liverpool that's ever happened in MMA. So I only have my coach to thank for that. What did it feel like walking out into the arena? Are you prepared for the adrenaline levels being so much higher, and then you've got to refocus again and do your job? Yeah, I'm just gonna have a smile on my face and a violent thought in my mind. I'm gonna hear the drums of Phil Collins when I bounce out, and run, walk, whatever I'm gonna do. That's my moment. There's not a person on this earth who will be able to take that from me, not God himself. And when I step in that cage, no matter what happens, that moment leading up to my foot stepping in that cage will be remembered, and I'll sit down and I'll look back at it and I'll be like, I Darren Till, I achieved that.